Video games can spark a burst of creativity in people every now and then, and often people choose to channel that creativity into paying homage to those games themselves. Fan remakes are an often overlooked section of the industry, and in this feature, we'll be talking about 14 of the most impressive fan remakes we've ever seen, whether that's full-on remakes or smaller recreations of certain segments and sections of games. So, without further ado, let's get started.
Hey, Mr. Freeman. I had a bunch of messages for you, but we had a system crash about, 20 minutes ago, and I'm still trying to find my files. Just one of those days, I guess.
Black Mesa. Probably the most well-known, and also probably one of the very best, fan remakes to have ever been released, Black Mesa, which only recently launched after years of development, is a full-on remake of Half-Life 1. And without the shadow of a doubt, it is the best way to experience that all-time classic. That it not only understands and perfectly encapsulates everything that made Valve's shooter so good, but also actually makes it better in many ways is a testament to its impeccable quality. GoldenEye Source. Valve's Source engine has been a great boon for many fan remake projects over the years, including GoldenEye Source, which uses the engine to recreate the entire multiplayer component of the classic N64 title, complete with better physics. On top of that, it also adds new maps, new mods, an expanded roster, improved frame rate, and more. Sure, the single-player campaign is missing, but this is still a great way to experience GoldenEye 007's multiplayer. SKYWIND. Morrowind and Skyrim are often regarded as the two best games in the Elder Scrolls series, and this ambitious mod combines them both. It takes the massive, immersive world of Morrowind and recreates it using Skyrim's engines. The results are truly impressive. On top of improved visuals and modern assets, it also boasts full voice acting and multiple gameplay improvements to the original Morrowind. This total conversion mod is still in development, but all that its developers have shared about it so far, and they've shared plenty, sounds exciting. SKYBLIVION. SKYWIND is not the only Elder Scrolls mod/recreation we're going to talk about in this feature. Similar to what SKYWIND does, SKYBLIVION, as its name suggests, brings all of the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, its world, its characters, its story, and its quests into Skyrim, complete with improved visuals, gameplay upgrades, and more. Again, we're not quite at the point where we can get our own hands on this ambitious project, but there's a lot to look forward to here. Metal Gear Solid 1 Intro Remake. Take this remake of Metal Gear Solid 1's intro, for instance. The iconic intro scene is recreated in Unreal Engine 4, rendered in real time, and it looks absolutely beautiful. It's just a very small slice of the game, but it's hard not to be impressed with what's on display here. PT Remake. It's hard to think of another game in recent years that's inspired so many fan remakes as PT has, which is funny because PT is not even a full game, it's a demo. An excellent demo of a game that eventually got cancelled, and maybe that's why people keep wanting to go back to it. Quite a few people have remade PT over the years, and there have been many impressive results. Take this one by Smoggy Chips, for instance, or any number of other projects that have recreated this slice of genius. But there's one thing we can be sure of, it's that there will be many more PT remakes to dive into in the future as well. Tomb Raider 2. Games from the PS1 era are among some of the most horribly aged games in our industry, and more often than not, these are the ones that benefit from remakes the most. And when developers don't want to work on these remakes, fans often pick up the slack. For instance, Tomb Raider 2: The Dagger of Jian is a fan-made project that is completely remaking the 1997 PS1 title, and it's hard not to be impressed by how it looks. Not only does it look and sound very faithful to the original game, it also seems like a great modernization of the way it played, while the visuals themselves look like they strike that deft balance between being new and shiny and keeping in line with the look of the original. Star Wars Dark Forces. This Star Wars Dark Forces remake being made in Unreal Engine 4 is still a work in progress, and we haven't really seen an awful lot of it so far, but what has been shown looks promising. The visuals look sharp, the character and weapon models exhibit an impressive amount of detail, and even though we haven't seen what the actual gameplay looks like, if we were to go by the visuals, there's certainly reason to be excited about how this will turn out. Star Wars Racer. When discussions about the best Star Wars games flare up, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is often brought up as an unlikely contender. If you're one of the many who bear a nostalgic love for that game, this remake might interest you. Made by ROBGen, it touches up the original game with new and shiny graphics, while also adding in various other improvements, such as first and third person perspectives, a new boost function, improved physics, and more. Battle for Middle-earth Reforged. Fans of real-time strategy titles and fans of The Lord of the Rings would both tell you that Battle for Middle-earth is an absolute gem, so it goes without saying that the prospect of Battle for Middle-earth Reforged, a ground-up fan-made overhaul of the game, is a salivating one. Like a few other projects in this feature, this one is still in development, but its development team has been sharing updates and footage on a regular basis, and it's fair to say that it looks very impressive. Renegade X. Command & Conquer Renegade might not be what you expect a typical CNC game to be, but it holds a special place in the hearts of many people. Its fan-made remake, Renegade X, is a testament to that. Renegade X is technically not fully out yet, and has been in open beta for a few years, but you don't need to spend long with it to realize that it's shaping up very, very well. It captures the tactical action of the original game perfectly. It looks great, and offers exciting large-scale multiplayer battles. Happily enough, both EA and Westwood Studios have been quite supportive of the project, so here's hoping it continues to make progress. Another Metroid 2 remake. Another Metroid 2 remake needs no introduction. It's often regarded as one of the best and most impressive fan remakes ever made, to the extent that it was even nominated for the Game Awards in 2016 before being dropped, probably for legal reasons. It's fair to say that it's probably the best Metroid 2 incarnation to date, better even than the original game, or the official remake for the 3DS. With improved design, reworked enemies, remade music, sharper visuals, and many, many more improvements, it proudly displays all the greatest qualities of the series. The fact that developer Milton Guastri was later hired by Moon Studios to work on Ori and the Will of the Wisps should tell you something about how impressive his work was. STALKER. The impressive CryEngine has been used to remake many games over the years, and it's not hard to see why. The visual fidelity it allows for is something to behold, and this fan remake of STALKER using CryEngine 3 is a perfect example of that. We've seen a slice of that so far. It's been a while since we saw anything more, in fact, but what we have seen looks sharp and crisp. Beyond the visuals, it also looks like it captures the horrifying atmosphere of the original game very well. Here's hoping we hear more about this not long from now. Jak 2 Renegade Reborn. Speaking of beautiful CryEngine recreations, it's been 5 years since we first, and last, saw this recreation of Jak 2, so we don't know when or if we will see more of it, but even this tiny slice is enough to make us sit up and take notice. The game is completely reborn, and visually it looks stunning. The environments look incredibly detailed, the lighting is sharp, as evidenced by the day and night transitions, and there's just something about watching these environments being recreated with such visual splendor. Truly a sight to behold. Resident Evil Spencer Mansion. Like the Metal Gear Solid 1 intro we just spoke about, this entry isn't about an entire game or a particular playable section being recreated, but about an aspect of a beloved classic being brought to life with renewed energy. Made by Brent Little using the Unreal Engine 4, this production recreates the iconic Spencer Mansion, a location Resident Evil fans hold very close to their heart, from top to bottom. It's impressive on multiple levels, from the level of detail it exhibits, to how faithfully it recreates every inch of the mansion, to just how astoundingly good it looks from a visual perspective. For fans of Resident Evil, it's definitely worth it to take a leisurely stroll through this deathly mansion. And that wraps it up. If you like what we are doing, please consider subscribing to our channel, and don't forget to switch on the bell notification icon. That way you will never miss out on any of our videos.